good, guys? In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to process your samples or add effects to them. Basically, lots of people have been asking me to make this tutorial. I feel like adding effects and processing your samples is one of the most important parts. I think the most important part is probably the actual melody itself, but adding like effects to your to each sound and making your samples sound good will really like level it up and make it fire. So yeah, let's just get into the video. Before I start, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Vikas and Twitter at Vikas. And yeah, let's get it. I'm currently in FL Studio right now, and I already have this melody that I made really quickly. All the sounds are from my One Shots and Textures pack, Volume 1, and I think one of these sounds is from my synth shot kit, but I don't know. And then I have this Contact Irish low whistle, which isn't from my kit. Basically, in all my samples, for like the keys, bells, synth sounds, I use One Shots for my kits. Then for like real instruments like flutes, I like to use Contact because Contact is pretty fire and it sounds realistic. But basically, this is a sample I have. And as you can see, like, the melody's pretty simple. However, the sounds don't really sound that good together. That's why I'm going to do some processing. And basically what I do is I select all the tracks like this, and I add them to my master. And my mixer. I like to add effects to each individual sample. And then at the end, I'll add effects to, like, the whole sample. So one thing I like to do is add this radiator plugin. It's basically a preamp, and it adds warmth to adds a little warmth or grit to the sound. And I'm gonna take the noise thing off because all it does is add like vinyl crackle. And Soundtoys makes some really cool plugins. This Microshift plugin is from Soundtoys, and it kind of just adds like some reverb and detune. And this Fruity Flanger plugin is just a stock plugin, and I just like to use this preset called Subtle because it doesn't add too much to it. And then I also like Goodhertz plugins. This mid-side matrix thing basically is like an imager. It just I could like widen out the sound a little more by using these knobs. And I'm gonna add the radiator plugin again. That's all it needs, I think. Maybe a slide EQ. For reverb, I have like all the Valhalla plugins. They're all fire. Valhalla Room is probably my favorite. I sometimes don't even add anything to the real instruments, but I think I'm gonna add a little bit of reverb. Yeah, that sounds good. Fruity Phaser is kind of like Fruity Flanger, just a little different, and I use the subtle preset on like almost all of them. This is from Soundtoys too. It's just a delay plugin. It has some cool delays. I like this one, Analogged. Oh, actually, I'm gonna use plate reverb. I like using a plate reverb. You could also get these types of reverbs from like other plugins like UAD, Waves, but I don't have any of those. So, for bass sounds, I like to use the Decapitator. It's also from Sound Toys. It just kind of adds a little grit to the bass. And yeah, all the sounds are basically done. And what I like to do is I split the pattern and then I just render them all out. Because if you don't render them all out, then when you put them on when people are using your sample, pretend you like take out all 4 sounds, or pretend you have the sample like this, and then someone's using your sample, and they only want these 4 sounds. At the start of this sample, these 4 sounds will kind of like bleed over into this part, so it'll kind of mess it up. So that's why I just render them all out. So like the sound of each sound is only playing for the 9 bars. I don't know if you guys get what I mean, but it makes sense. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out like a few sounds for the start, and then I'm going to have everything play in this bar. Then I'm going to take out like a bunch of them, and then I'm just going to have like these 2. Alright, now that I have it like kind of arranged and all that, I like to add some textures. I have a texture pack which only has textures and percussion loops, but my one-shot kit also has like 100 textures. So I'm just going to use this one. I like this one. Textures just like just make your sample sound a little more realistic. And then I'm gonna add like a percussion loop. And then you could also add like effects or accents. I might add like one. Alright, so that's basically the sample. Like all the individual sounds are processed. Then I'm just gonna render it out one more time. Now that I have this, I could add effects to like all the sounds. So one effect I like to do is add this reverb. I like to switch it to the A knob. The B switch is cool too, but I like the A the best. And when you put the reverb on, it kind of messes up the sample. See, if you like go here, there's like a little clicky sound. So what I do is I just shift it over a little bit. Yeah, that sounds good. And then at the end, you don't want this remainder part to be in the sample. So I just drag it over till it's perfectly 32 bars. And yeah, and then I usually just put it on my mixer, add an EQ, take out some low end. I also like to add a tape machine. It gives it a nice vintage and warm feel. Then finally, I'll just play with the pitch. Yeah, that sounds good to me. And yeah, that's gonna be all for this video. If you guys have any video recommendations for me, just leave a comment down below. And yeah, if you guys like the kits, make sure to cop them. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, peace out.